Today we have an amazing interview for you guys. We grabbed the CEO of Reelview Fishing, currently racing on StartEngine, to talk about his fully integrated smart fishing rods and E-line system. This allows you to view under the water as you fish, record videos, and even have a direct line to your fishing lures. This is a huge advancement in the world of fishing, but don't take it from me. Here's Dustin Allinger, CEO and founder of Reelview, explaining his product and company.
You understand what's happening by feel or by the data you're getting from your fish finder, your sonar. And it's been that way forever. And so Reelview is bringing this new element, this new dimension to the experience where you can actually see what's happening. And very importantly, see what's happening in real time. You can see it live. There are some existing fishing camera products on the market. They are essentially camcorders that record what is happening underwater. Once you retrieve the device and have it topside, you can pair it to your phone and review what has happened in the past. But because of the physics of the underwater environment, those devices can't do. No device can really do a wireless transmission of a video signal, through the water. So that's Reelview. That's what we're working on building.
Yeah, it looks super cool. Obviously, you guys have posted some viral videos, and it seems to be well received. And as a fisherman myself, and we're from East Tennessee, so plenty of lakes and fishing and boating and all that kind of stuff. It seems like a super cool product. How did you get the idea for this, and kind of how did I've looked a little bit about it, where it's actually a pretty complex thing, because there's lots of getting that real-time view and kind of making sure that you can actually use it and it doesn't get tangled and all that kind of stuff. There's it's a pretty complex system. So where did you kind of get the idea there?
So, I fished as a kid growing up. I grew up in Maryland and I just did freshwater fishing. There was, trout that were stocked in this stream behind my house. And, I'd get my dad to drive me around to ponds and lakes and just try to catch bass and pickerel and stuff like that. And we would, do a saltwater charter like once a year out on the Chesapeake Bay for striped bass. They call them rockfish in Maryland. And then I went off to college and I really didn't fish for a long time. And then moved to Boston after college for a job, met my now wife, and her parents have a little cabin on Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire. So, there were rods in the boathouse there. And so I just got back into it. Around the same time, my background's in engineering, electrical engineering. And around the same time, I was working for a company called Open Water Power that was commercializing this new underwater battery technology, primarily for use by the Navy for these unmanned underwater vehicles. So I was familiar with underwater electronics, and more importantly, I was familiar with the communications challenges underwater, and was just out fishing. This is about 5 years ago, fishing with my brother-in-law. And we were trying to figure out how deep our baits were. And, I said, we got to be able to put a sensor on the bait that'll tell us how deep it is. Oh, but communication is going to be really tough, especially in something this small. So, I know that to do high data rate underwater communication, you need a cable. You need a cabled wired solution. Oh, look, this is a fishing line in front of you. This thing kind of looks like a cable or a wire. And so this problem emerged in my head. I was like, can we make a fishing line that is also an electrical cable? Can we make an electrical cable that's also a fishing line? Something that actually is as small and as strong as a traditional fishing line. Because if we could, then we could send data over it. And if we could send a lot of data, then we could do a lot more than just depth, right? We could do video, and that would be really exciting. So that's the genesis of the whole project right there. That sort of marked like the beginning of my obsession with this problem of making, E-line is what we call it now, electrical fishing line.
That's super interesting. And that's kind of how I hear a lot of founders where they kind of almost, I'm not going to say stumble into, this kind of market that they're in. But, frankly, even myself with Hubtas, that's, I just kind of started writing about it and it kind of took off. And then I started building the platform, and I met my co-founders along the way who worked at StartEngine actually. And so it's, kind of interesting how it sort of just comes, and you have this battery or this background in a very similar, similar area. And so it really comes to be where you kind of put two and two together and solve this problem. And, I I do think it's interesting. You did mention like E-line, and what is the market there exclusively for, I'm sure in the short term it is, but like, what do you see kind of like the long-term implications for something like that is this something you can kind of scale beyond just fishing, or, what is kind of some of the thoughts there?
Yeah, I think we see other applications, outside of fishing probably, but they're really just not our focus at Reelview at this time. I think we're really focused on building the fishing company. We see a lot of applications in the fishing space. You know, we want to get this first product out,
Yeah.
RV1 is what we're calling it, and just sort of show off the technology, show people how great this is, what a wild experience it is to get out and fish this way. And I think there's just a lot of opportunity for growth in terms of, we talk about connected fishing, right? So active tackle, some more intelligent tackle that, maybe you have more control over what's happening with this thing in terms of light or sound or vibration. And, there's a lot you can do with cameras, right? We could do a 360 camera to increase the field of view. The E-line scales pretty nicely, both up and down in size. So, I think we envision building larger, stronger systems to catch larger, stronger fish. I think there's applications like, ice fishing as an example. We'd love to just do an ice fishing product. In the billfish market, everybody wants a dredge cam, a live view dredge cam. I think, we'll probably go make that product. And then, beyond this connected fishing stuff that we want to do ourselves, I think the industry itself has so much brand loyalty. People are really, really passionate about their brand, their Penn or their Abu Garcia or whatever it is. And so I think there's a great opportunity for us to do some licensing that allows people to use their existing brand, stay loyal to their existing brand. And, we use this phrase internally, like Reelview ready. Let's make Reelview ready rods and reels in partnership with some of the biggest names in the industry. Definitely think there's opportunity there. And then, the other thing that we've sort of stumbled across is electronics, and really displays are a big part of this experience. And certainly, the product out of the box can be used with your phone and our mobile app, or with a tablet. When you get onto boats, many boats have big, beautiful, high brightness outdoor displays, and pumping our video feed onto those displays is just such a natural fit. So we're aiming for some native integration with the various brands out there in the sort of boat mounted display market. I think we'll probably also do like a dongle accessory that would allow you to plug into the HDMI port on any of those. And then the other real opportunity that has emerged in front of us is what we're calling shoreline electronics, or shoreline displays, right? Where previously, a big display has been the dominion of the boat-bound angler. But there are a lot of people who don't fish from boats, who fish from shore. And, the phone is great if it's just you fishing, but if you're out there with buddies, a big display is incredible, because you can all gather around this display and watch what's happening. You share this experience together, and it's really fun. So we think there's opportunity there to do some line of outdoor display products that are tailor-made to Reelview, and allow the non-boat angler to really experience this shared experience of the big display.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and that's super insightful. And one of the things you kind of mentioned was the lures and that kind of stuff, which is a super interesting thing to think about, where you could essentially have a direct line to your actual lure, and then kind of have all these different. I mean, because right now lures are pretty much exclusively kind of static things where you cast it, and maybe it has like some sort of fan on it that spins around, and or whatever. But for the most part, it's that that opens up a kind of a whole new kind of possibility with fishing. That's super interesting. And it definitely sounds like a lot more integrated of a system. Now that you kind of talk about it, with this could be something that's integrated into the whole system, from the boat to the your obviously your phone, but the rod and reel and everything. So that's super cool to think about and super insightful.
Yeah, we use the phrase camera bait in conceptual discussions, like, oh, maybe you could make, a plug for striped bass that had a couple of lenses in the eyes. Certainly cost is going to be a focus here, right? But the long-term vision would be, let's make this active tackle, low cost enough. And I think there are things happening, if you look at what you can buy on Amazon today in terms of an action camera for $29.99, right? The industry is trending that way, right? And these things are going to get cameras, and electronic devices are just going to continue to come down in cost. And, we see a future opportunity there to just really get the consumer to start thinking about these things as tackle, right? These are electronic devices and they do great things for you, but at the end of the day, this is tackle. It's fishing tackle, and it can be treated that way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And, I could definitely see, I mean, at the very least, it might be, because we spend, we'll have kind of our lighter rigs that we might go out on the lake and catch bluegill or something. And then, we'll have our ocean fishing rigs that tend to be, a little bit more high quality. And, so there's definitely a pretty good possibility somebody could even if it's a higher end rig, you buy it up and kind of have it for special occasions or anything like that. But that makes sense. What are some of the, I've seen this go, you guys are talking about it going viral on social media, and it's been really well received in that. And it seems like a total content farm where, it's super engaging to watch. So what are some of your kind of tailwinds you've been seeing there? And, how's that kind of going?
Yeah, so certainly the virality has been amazing. And, we've gotten all sorts of outreach from, NASA and the Navy and all sorts of interesting people. And, that's been great. I think to see just the potential, we picked up like 3,000 new Instagram followers in the last 72 hours, which is like a new record for us. So just to see the viral potential really start paying dividends in terms of inbound interest, in terms of social media followers, is awesome. There's tons of engagement. And, I think the other tailwind that I see is just the experience we have when we go fishing with this thing. I love it so much. It's just like, it's so much fun. It's outrageous to go fish with this thing. And it just reinforces that I think we really have something special. And I think the market's going to love it. And I'm really excited to get it out there. So, the virality and the support from the crowd is certainly the biggest tailwind, I think, right now.
No, it makes sense. That's it. I could see it. I could see other people. I mean, especially kind of maybe fishing influencers or whatever buying it, if nothing else, for that kind of content farm. And then obviously it's great for you guys. So it's because it's super cool to watch. I mean, that's not really something you typically would even get to watch, but people tend to enjoy.
People love the underwater footage. They just love it. It's the content that does best always. And, I just think, wow, look at all this interest we've generated from the handful of prototypes that we have. If we get thousands of these things, or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of these devices in the wild, it's just, I think some absolutely unbelievable moments are going to be captured.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because I mean, again, like you said, you guys are just kind of testing this, but as soon as people kind of start actually doing their own thing with it, or, figuring out all the cool stuff you can do with it, or if you get like, saltwater rigs and that kind of stuff, it could definitely ramp up and have some really cool stuff. So, I know you guys are, so you said it was like prototypes kind of. So what is the kind of stage that this is in as far as development? And I think there's like a light timeline on your page, but kind of what are some of the headwinds you guys are seeing, and how's that kind of going?
So we're closing in on completing what they call DVT on our prototypes, and this is the last sort of design revision, the last step before you start setting up a manufacturing line. So our electronics are going to be made in Asia, and it's been a big effort to develop them. It's been a big effort across the board to develop this product. We've really been in stealth mode for a number of years. We've raised a few $1 million in funding, and that's just what's been required to to launch this product, or not launch this product, but to develop the technology to get it to where it is today. There really is a lot of R&D, a lot of science, and a lot of engineering in the E-line and in the electronics and everything. And taking what we built here in our shop in Boston, and figuring out how we're going to manufacture this at scale with real sophisticated large organizations that actually make hundreds of thousands of devices like these in a year, has been a heavy lift for us, for sure. Involving adventurous international travel and very long contracts and delays and challenges. But I really think we're very close to closing out, finalizing the design, and just completing development on this first product. I think it's likely that we're going to fulfill orders at some point in the first half of 2025. That's the timeline right now. So we should get another big batch of the new prototypes in a couple of months and sort of sprinkle them around the internet to some key people and do a lot of testing and fishing ourselves, and hopefully just continue to build buzz. We may do another sort of pre-order campaign late this year, but the main goal is let's start shipping product in the first half of 2025.
Yeah, that makes sense. I saw you guys did have some pre-orders, but I think it was pretty light. I mean, relatively speaking, I'm guessing for the demand, but was it 150 pre-orders, or how many was
we did about 200 in about a month. So it was, a little bit of an opportunity for us to engage with the most passionate cohort. And we think it's likely that, we may, the first real batch we get is going to be around that many. And so, those priority earliest units will go to those diehard early supporters. We didn't want to get too overwhelmed, so we limited it, but we sold out of those in about 30 days, which is great.
That's awesome. What's and I don't know this off the top of my head. What is kind of like the and I know this is super loose, I'm guessing even at this stage but relative to the, pricing and margins and, kind of what do you see there as far, I know you said you want to get it cheaper, but what is this going to kind of run people? And I'm sure it's not going to be super profitable due to all the R&D up to this point, but just talk a little bit kind of about, that part of it.
Yeah. So, I think this first product in low volume, and really our first crack at creating this is a premium product with a premium price point, probably north of $1,000 for the full system. Price is still something that we're kind of dialing in as we continue to understand what our costs are going to be. It's important for the health of the business that we price this thing at a margin, that allows us to grow. One of the challenges with hardware businesses is you got to pay for the inventory. And so, we're trying to price it in a way that we think is accessible while also, reflecting the value that this thing brings. It really is first of its kind, and it's just an incredible experience to use it, but also to allow the business to grow over time. I think as we scale up in volume, I think as we cost engineer product too, I think as we get a better understanding for how to build these things, right, that like all other products, the cost will come down over time. And we certainly aim to have, products at different price points for different, feature sets, not long into the future.
No, that makes sense. That's and again, Hubtas, for example, is still a startup, so we're constantly trying to figure all that kind of stuff out too. So I was just, just super interesting to, see how it all shakes out. But I don't actually have any other questions other than that. It was great talking with you. Is there anything else you kind of want to tell anybody who might, be looking to invest or anything, in that regard? Feel free to send me an email if you want to chat. It's just justin@reelviewfishing.com. I'm good with email, and you can call me if you want to have a phone call. This is something really new and special that we're really proud of. We think this is a category definer, and we think, this industry, fishing tackle, right, largely, has not seen a huge innovation in a really long time. I think if you look at what's happening and at what has happened in the last 10 years with sonar, it's
really exciting. It's really amazing. The forward-facing sonar, the live scope, the 360, it's all incredible, right? We think Reelview pairs beautifully with those tools. But ultimately, we think, you know, this is something really exciting for the world of fishing. And hopefully it's been a long time coming, and we think there's big opportunity here. Yeah. And I guess the last thing I'll say is, you know, another potential headwind. We get a lot of engagement on social media, including a lot of negative engagement with people using words like cheating. You know, you're cheating, you're ruining fishing. I think, you know, Reelview is really about exploration and discovery, and you know, it's really about nature. You know, when I was a kid, my bedroom was full of aquariums, and I just love fish, and I love looking at fish, and I love scuba diving. And, you know, this product and this technology, that's really what it does for you, right? I think it can help you catch more fish if you want to catch more fish, but you know, this is not a tool to go cheating at fishing. This is something different than that. This is, you know, a shared experience with your friends and family looking at this reef. You know, it's just wild. You know, it's every time you throw this camera down, something really interesting happens every time. Even if you're just looking at, you know, crabs. We got a lot of crabs in the water right outside our office in Boston. So
yeah, and no, that makes sense. And you know, kind of as you've talked about, I mean, it's kind of it'll be a fully integrated thing, and I think it'll make, you know, for example, just fishing trips more engaging for everybody. Where if you went and fished, I mean, you know, a lot of times there might not be enough, you know, space for everybody, or somebody might take a break, but you know, it'll still be interesting to watch the actual fish below and all that kind of stuff. So totally agree there.
Especially if it's especially if it's a slow day and they're not biting. It's just as exciting just to look at them, you know, and you know, to have it on the big screen and everybody enjoying it together is really cool. Kids love it too.
Yeah, I mean, you always get, you know, dissenters and people who are, you know, but that's bound to happen, especially with any sort of, you know, consumer facing product like this. So but no, it's been great talking to you, Dustin. It's been a great interview, super engaging, and I can't wait to see the Reelview actually hit the market. So